Right in the geographic heart of Africa, you'll find a place cradled by the Great Rift Valley, and it's a land of incredible contradiction. A place of rolling green hills that seem to go on forever, and a history etched in deep scars. This is the story of Burundi. It's a paradox that really sits at the very core of its identity. I mean, how can one nation hold both the source of the world's longest river and a history of such deep sadness? To even begin to understand Burundi, we have to look closely at its two faces. So, our story really begins with this stunning duality. On one side, you have the land itself, an absolutely incredible natural landscape. Just try to picture it, a landscape of rolling hills on a central plateau, the place where the Nile River actually begins its long journey. And then to the west, its border is literally carved out by the magnificent Lake Tanganyika, one of Africa's Great Lakes. It's truly a land of water and of endless hills. But here's the thing. That natural beauty, it stands in this sharp, almost cruel contrast to the economic reality on the ground. Burundi is consistently ranked as one of the poorest nations on the entire planet, a fact that casts a long shadow over every part of daily life. Get this. Around 80% of the entire population lives in poverty. I mean, that's 4 out of every 5 people. And when you see its GDP per capita is just $489, you really start to understand the scale of the challenge. But numbers never tell the full story. To really get how a land so rich could end up so poor, we have to look back into its past. The roots of Burundi's modern struggles, well, they run deep, all the way back to the fracturing of its ancient kingdom. You see, for centuries, Burundi was a kingdom. And in that kingdom, the lines between the two main groups, the Hutu and the Tutsi, they weren't set in stone like you might think. A Hutu farmer who became wealthy, who got a lot of cattle, could actually become a Tutsi. And it worked the other way too. A Tutsi who lost their wealth could be seen as Hutu. It was all about social class, really, not just who your parents were. Then, everything changed. Towards the end of the 19th century, European powers showed up. First, it was Germany, and then after World War I, Belgium took over. The Belgians decided to administer Burundi and its neighbor, Rwanda, as one single territory, and that decision would have absolutely devastating consequences. The Belgian colonial administration came in and just shattered this flexible system. They took a fluid society and forced it into a rigid ethnic hierarchy. They even issued identity cards, cementing these divisions that were once, changeable. By favoring the Tutsi minority for powerful jobs, they systematically planted the seeds of mistrust. This one act, freezing identity in place, it tragically laid the groundwork for decades and decades of conflict. And, well, that conflict, it exploded almost the second the colonial powers left. The period right after independence in 1962, it cast this long, dark shadow over the entire nation. The decades that followed independence were just marked by this awful cycle of violence. In 1966, a military coup led by the Tutsi-dominated army got rid of the monarchy. Then in 1972, a Hutu uprising was met with a brutal, massive slaughter of Hutus by that same army. And then in 1993, a glimmer of hope was just extinguished. The country's very first democratically elected Hutu president was assassinated. That act triggered revenge killings of Tutsis and plunged the entire nation into a brutal civil war that would just rage for over a decade. The human cost was just immense. The Civil War alone is estimated to have killed 300,000 people, and the vast majority of them were just ordinary civilians. The scale of these killings was so horrifying that a United Nations Commission would later use a very specific, terrible word to describe them: genocide. That's an incredibly heavy and tragic legacy for any nation to have to carry. And yet, and this is the incredible part, through all of this, the spirit of the Burundian people has proven to be remarkably resilient. This is the other side of the story. It's a story of culture and just pure endurance. For most Burundians, life is tied directly to the land. I mean, over 90% of the population works in agriculture, mostly small-scale subsistence farming. This connection to the soil really is the backbone of their society. And that agricultural heart, it's also Burundi's main link to the rest of the world. High-quality coffee and tea make up a staggering 90% of the country's foreign income. It's a pretty fragile lifeline to the global economy, but it's their lifeline. And it's here that you can really see how culture has managed to survive. The powerful, thundering rhythm of the royal drummers, it's famous all over the world. There's this strong oral tradition of storytelling and song, passing history down from one generation to the next. And even simple traditions, like sharing impeke beer from a single pot, act as this powerful symbol of unity, the very thing that politics has so often tried to tear apart. So that brings us to today, and to a future that's still balanced on a knife's edge. The new century, it did bring new hope. The Arusha Agreement back in 2000 officially ended the civil war and set up a power-sharing government. But honestly, the peace has been incredibly fragile. A huge political crisis back in 2015 shattered that calm, leading to more unrest and instability. And then, in 2017, in a move that really alarmed the international community, Burundi became the first nation ever to pull out of the International Criminal Court. And so we've come full circle, right back to that central paradox. We have a country with peace accords written on paper, but it's still grappling with immense poverty, political fragility, and that long, dark shadow of its past. So Burundi really stands at a crossroads. You have a people with incredible resilience, a rich culture, and a land of just stunning beauty. But it also carries these deep, deep fractures from its history. The question that's left hanging in the air is, can this heart, the heart of Africa, which has endured so much pain, finally find a way to heal its own fractures?